Welcome to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. If you're on a mission to be more frugal with both your time and money, you're in the right place. In this podcast, we talk about topics that help enhance living a frugal lifestyle. The goal is to save time and money where we can so that we can use the rest on what matters most to us. We talk a lot about both time and money management so that we can waste as little as possible on both. We do this while also embracing a progress over perfection mindset. If that sounds good to you, then please stick around for the latest episode right after a few quick words from our sponsor. Hi everyone, welcome back to the last of my mini summer episodes. I know it's now September, but it is still technically summer, so I'm taking one more week to do these mini episodes. So today what I wanted to talk about was really kind of being mindful of making financial decisions when you're in an emotional frame of mind and you're maybe not thinking as clearly as you would at another time. And the reason that I wanted to share this is because this just recently happened to me. We can really put ourselves in a bad financial situation by kind of just reacting quickly and not really thinking about the impact of what our decision might mean long term. Thankfully, in my situation, I was able to change that decision quickly and not put ourselves in a financial situation that I would not have ended up being happy about in the long run. But what happened was there is a horse that I've been riding at our barn. Some of you guys know that I have a horse. I did have two horses. Unfortunately, I did have to put one of them down a few months ago because of health situation he had. But I do still have one horse. My sister has a horse, but the one that I have, she just can't be ridden right now. She can be very, very lightly ridden, but she has kind of like a permanent injury that may or may not, well, probably permanent injury. I can't say that for sure now, but anyway, a long-term injury that has been bothering her for at least a couple years now. Anyway, there's a really nice woman at our barn, and she has been letting me ride her horse because I love to ride too, and I can't ride my horse right now. And my sister's horse is much older, and he's just kind of retired right now too. So anyway, this woman's been letting me ride her horse, and it's just like been a dream come true. He's really awesome. I really get along great with this horse and whatever. So what happened was she thought she might have to get rid of him because of financial and health issues, which is common. I mean, that happens. Sometimes horses are very expensive, and, sometimes you have to make a decision if you just aren't able to, support having that horse. So anyhow, so when I got this text from the woman to tell me that she, was thinking she might have to get rid of him, I got really upset because I had really been getting attached to him and I've been working with him, and it was just like kind of shocking that it just was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Like, I knew it definitely could happen at any time, but I just wasn't expecting it to happen when it did. And I was just really upset, not angry in a way. I don't mean it like that. I mean, like, I was just really sad because I was really, really enjoying my time with this horse and riding him and everything. So I instantly texted her back and said, I could pay half the board, to help try and keep him, which I can't. I can't pay half the board. I already pay board for my own horse. It was just raised. Our property taxes just went up. We have a lot of costs that have just gone up recently, and I really can't afford to pay board for a half of another horse. But I instantly said that because in my mind, I wasn't thinking about anything, and I'm not normally like that. I'm really not normally like that with financial decisions, but it was so emotional that I just thought, I don't care, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep him around. And I just texted her and I was like, I can pay half the board, whatever. So it's not like I can pay half the board this month. If I commit to paying half the board, that's a really long commitment. And, I wouldn't want to do it and then suddenly say I can't. And then maybe now she's in a position where she's really going to struggle because suddenly she's going to have to pick it back up, whatever. Or, whatever the situation may be, I could not afford to pay half of this horse's board. So I was, when I kind of settled down again, I was just like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Like, I just told her that I would pay half of the board for her every month, and I can't do that. I don't have that room in the budget to just suddenly pick up the cost of, half the board for this horse when I have my own horse to pay for, and, not only her board, but her, getting her feet done and the vet and supplements and everything else. And I'm like, I can't afford to pay for like another horse at all, like no extra cost. But here I was just like not even caring or thinking about what it would do to our financial situation and just committing to being able to do this. And fortunately, when I calmed down a little bit and I thought about it, I says, oh my gosh, I really have to let her know right away. I cannot do that. So I sent her a message because we were texting, about it, whatever. And I said, look, I was just really overreacting, and I really cannot afford to do that. Like, I can't afford to make that monthly payment to help support this horse for him to stay. So I was like, I totally understand. It's a really difficult situation. If you find them another home, I totally get it, whatever. So it turned out in the end, she's going to wind up trying to keep him. And I am helping out in some ways that I'm able to do. Smaller things like, paying for some of his supplements, or just like helping out and, holding him for when his farrier comes to get his feet done, or just like little things as much as I can possibly do that's not going to cause me a huge financial negative impact on my life, which it would have if I committed to doing what I said I was going to do. So anyway, she totally understood too. I said, look, I was just overreacting. I panicked, and I said I could pay for something that I really can't afford to pay for. So as of now, it all worked out great in the end. And even if she does have to wind up finding him a new home, it is what it is. I totally understand. It is a huge financial commitment. And if you find yourself in a situation where you can't afford that horse anymore and you can't ever ride that horse anymore, it's like you have to sometimes do what's best for everyone. But anyhow, I was thinking about that, and I thought, oh my gosh, like I could have put ourselves in such a bad situation if I just threw caution to the wind and decided to figure out how, just make it work and just pay all this money, and we really couldn't afford it, and it would have impacted us in so many ways negatively. And I think it's just something good to think about, to just kind of remind yourself, if you're in an emotional state like that, to just take a breath and wait till you settle down before you make any quick financial decisions, because they can really affect you long term. And fortunately, I was able to quickly get out of that and say, hey, look, I know I said this, but I really can't do that. But sometimes you commit to things that you maybe can't get out of so easily. So I just wanted to share that today. That's it. I thank you so much for listening, and I will see you back here next week. So thank you for checking in for this podcast episode. And don't forget, you can always email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at lolasfrugallife. And you can find a blog post for most of my episodes, and definitely all of my meal plan episodes, at lolasfrugallife.com. You can also join our private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. And if you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. And I would love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram so I could see you're listening. Also, if you can please take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast. Those ratings and reviews are what help the show come up better in search results so that other people can find this podcast. So that will really help me in growing my audience. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an awesome day.